Hey, how's it going? Let me show you what I've been working on. I don't remember what I've been working on since I showed you anything. Oh my god. Okay, so this is new. Basically, because the Azipods had their one block chopped off along the bottom, I was not happy about that. And I couldn't move Cliford up and down at all. So the mast has been chopped, tilted back, and when it spawns, it'll slide up, and I don't think the hard points lock because the thing is in the wrong place, but that'll rotate up and lock, and that gives me enough space to put that other block back on the bottom. And this also actually has given me a lot more space for up and down. In other news, I got these little connectors put on, or the instrument panels. So you'll be able to turn on these two, like the top set of one, but also the bottom set of one. So you can set them all individually, which means I'll be able to insert MCS sizes at any point without much hassle. And then what I've got over here is a little indicator panel. It's not really working just yet. I'll show you how it works though. So I wanted something where you could just come up on the wall, push a button, and then you get these little green indicators come on to show that these connectors are on. There are indicators on every corner, and then you can come and push the buttons. So you can push either of these, will toggle that set, or this button will toggle that set. And so the good thing is, if you're working down here with a remote control on the crane, because that's what I want to set up, you can see from here, if you zoom, like hold right click, the two green dots are lit up. So you'll be able to maneuver yourself around all over the deck using the crane, see which ones are on. If you're like pushing these and then moving away to somewhere else and you're like, oh, did I push those? Even if you can't see them from here, you'll be able to see up on that board which indicators are on. But for now, what I want to do is something with these Azipods. I want to make sure they can work. I want to make sure they steer, and I want to see if I can get them to a point where we can maneuver one but not the other, or do something to let me go sideways or turn on the spot, do all sorts of maneuvering. So first thought is that I'm going to come in here. I don't think the propeller is actually sealing, but gearboxes do seal. So I'll just put a gearbox in both sides, and then I'll get rid of the reverse from in here. So now there'll have to be a more complicated system, but we'll be able to like reverse one and not the other, and then that should spin around the rear axis. I'm also wondering if I should just put a motor in here and then run it off electricity, steam electric. If I put a motor facing up and then another motor and then pipe these together, is this potentially like the same amount of power as running it through steam? Because the thing with steam is we get a lot of torque, right? So partially because I don't want to be bothered waiting for the steam to build every time I want to test this, I've got two large electric motors. I think they're large, aren't they? Motor? I've got two medium electric motors running through 6 gearboxes, all 3-to-1. I'm not sure if that's good or bad. And then they pipe through into a gearbox, which we'll use for reverse. Probably could put a clutch in there somewhere, but that'll let me at least just start testing straight away. So now I need a way to turn these without limiting what their max turning rate is. So there's this controller that I had set up for the steering and the throttle. This is just doing divided by 3, x divided by 3. What I need is a switch box, and when it is off, we get the normal steering rate, and then when it's on, we get a different steering rate. So there'll be some kind of calculation in between here. I really want to use a counter because a counter has a very linear path, but I feel like I would need 2 counters, like a one to go up and one to go down. Have I just completely made the most complicated thing? So what's going to happen is when you press like A, you're going to go into positive. So this threshold here is going to detect that you're pushing the positive number. And then it's going to count up, which will count up to a maximum of 1 and a minimum of 0. I need to enable the clamps here. And then when you're not pressing it, it'll count up on the downside, which will count up to a max of 0 with a minimum of -1. So it's like whenever you're not pushing anything, it's going to count its way back to 0 on both of these, and then we're just adding the two outputs, which should result in one of them always being 0 and the other one always being a positive or a negative. If this works, that would be amazing. So I need to set A and D to 100% reset. And this should let me steer it like normal. But it means that I can have another set of this counter system with different clamp levels and different increments as well if I wanted that. So yeah, this lets me, I might, hold on. One moment, please. The Azipod rudder things are much taller than everything else. So I'll just make some little feet, and that will get the rudders, get the Azis off the ground. And then they won't be bonking on anything. So I'm going to press A, let go, press D, and let go. It seems like there's some kind of delay. Okay, here we go, everything's at 0. When I press A, we go full negative, D, full positive. When I press A, we get no positive, but we get full negative. When I press D, we get full positive and no negative. Oh, that's not good. No, because the Azipod's not counting the inverted number. So I can press like A, count all the way up to 1, then press D. Because this inverted number needs to go into the add. I reckon it might as well just be like this. I've just overcomplicated it, haven't I? So when you're receiving your threshold signal, count up, and then when you're not receiving it, count back down. That's probably all it is. I don't know why I was crossing over the other way. I think because I was running on inverted numbers before, it made sense that a positive number counted the positive counter up and the negative counted down. Oh, it makes this one go really fast. Yeah, it counts even faster. I feel like I'm really close with this. It definitely is more complicated, and I could use a function. The problem is that a function will still slow down as it approaches its maximum, whereas the up-down counter is just very smooth the whole way through. Okay, it's a good idea, but it's not working. So I'm just going to put it up here. If we go x divided by 3, that's what I was working with before. So we can say that's like the off mode for maneuver mode. And then if we wanted maneuver mode is, I guess, like it lets you fully rotate around. We might want to go no restriction. And then probably also the way the gearboxes work needs to change. But now there's no restriction on the turning ability. We're probably actually going to need to split the output so that both of them can move independently. So this is 33%. If I press the button, we can now go the whole way. So if I press A in maneuver mode, I want to move to the left. We might have to bring in some bow thrusters on this. Please work. Please work. Okay, normal steering mode. So they max out at 33%, which is good. And then toggle, we're in maneuver mode. I don't know why it's done that. They're both sucking, right? So one should suck me sideways and the other one should suck it forwards. There's no way this would be better than Steam. Okay, let's turn on maneuver mode, which just means for some reason it defaults and what? I don't like this. I don't like this. This is so stupid. Okay, maneuver mode. Oh, it didn't default this time. Ah, okay. So now we're pulling towards the right, and the right Azipod has reversed and is now pushing. I think the ship's just too long. Someone left a comment saying the ship was too long. If I use the bow thruster for the same direction, probably have to gear it a little bit differently, but now we're just going sideways. The thing about that is I should probably just have a totally separate mode then. So what I mean is get rid of most of the complicated logic. Get rid of them as much as I can. So during normal operation, both of these Azipods will move at 33% of normal. And then when we go into maneuvering mode, when it's off, it goes into here and then goes to both of them. And then when maneuvering mode is on, they're just going to flick completely sideways. This is a great example of why electric propulsion sucks. Well, if I turn on maneuver mode now, all it's going to let me do is turn the Azis really far in one direction. And then if I keep my bow thrusters on left and right, just using that together with A and D will let me control it quite well. Because I guess the thing is, like, do I want to spin around on the spot, or do I want to go fully left or fully right? Because this is just me, like, allowing myself to turn the Azis completely, like, 90 degrees, and then using the bow thrusters to counteract them. This does sort of feel like I've got more control. I'm just going to leave it like this for now, because it works. And I'm starting to feel again like I'm not getting anything done. I'm just screwing around with dumb logic. So let's do something useful. I'm going to use these fluid cannons, and they are going to go here on these spots. I don't know if doing them in symmetry is a good idea. That's where I wanted them to go, but they're going to cut into some stuff. That really only lets me shoot forwards and out in that arc. this little frontwards arc. I'm probably going to have water cannons on the back then somewhere. What if they were up somewhere over here? This is probably a good spot for them actually, just off these corners. So I'm going to put one on each side up in this front corner in a spot where it's not going to interfere with what's already inside. These ones will be facing outwards, so we can get sort of, if it turns 90 degrees, it can shoot forwards, and then it can still access some backwards area. Another idea could be to mount it upside down. I think that's a lot more interesting. It looks like a security turret, like a surveillance turret. Might see if I can poke it one more back. I'm more liking this. Oh, but there's nothing on the other side. Great. Little bit of an extension later. I'd really like to put handles for these actually. I think control handles need to go up a lot higher though. You need to like rest up here. And then maybe it wants to be like on an angle anyway. I want to connect the look buttons, I think. Look X and look Y. And I think I can run a symmetrical pipe for this. So there's the thing. We need to come across. Not that far. And then go down through the wall. If I don't like how the handle works, I'm just going to put radio antennas for all of them. And they'll all be remote control. Yeah, this is okay. I can probably stretch these rails to go through it. Okay, there it is. Oh. How do you feel about that? That's using the look controls, which is like, because I've moved the handle, where I'm looking and where it's actually pointing is a little bit different. Oh, the picture's inverted because the turret's upside down. I'm kind of not a fan of this looking system because like where I'm looking is not where it can go. I kind of think the handle's maybe not the best option either because you're stuck in this one spot. If it was connected on a radio controller, then you would be able to like select a channel per water cannon and then just cycle through all the cannons as you're moving around. That does mean reserving channels for the cannons though. Another alternative could be to build a cannon that has a camera on it. I don't even know if you would need the big pump. You might be able to use the small pump and then just chuck a nozzle straight on the end. That's obviously extremely bulky. That would let me stay within the bridge though, and I could just swap over to the like passenger seat, and then I would be able to just go through all the cameras, activate all the pumps, and position them and just leave them. I'm curious if this works now. Sheesh. Oh, it was just the initial burst and then pressure's dropping, so it's coming back a lot. The pressure drop off. Maybe the tank's just empty. Oh, it comes back a lot, but I think if it were connected to the ocean, it wouldn't be so bad. This seems way better than using the pre-built cannon, just for the fact that I can attach a camera to it. Okay, I'm going to build a water cannon that I can mount anywhere. And it's just going to be this. It's going to be a fluid pivot into a hose, into a pump, and shoot it out. If I use the medium camera, then I can use it to zoom and change the FOV. I think it's also got infrared mode, which should be good at night. We use a big pump, but I want to get the nozzle beside the camera, like that, so that you can see the spray and you don't see any of the nozzly bits. This is obviously way bulkier. By putting the hose below, I'm going to run into issues where I can't tilt up that much. If I move the pivot down, I'll get more room for tilting, and it makes it bulkier. Sheesh. It's really good though. On the monitor, I could draw a little reticle. Okay, so the only downside of this is that it's way bulkier. The upside is that I can like see a bunch of these cameras. I could have one of these on every corner of the boat, and then I can just remote operate into it. And I can also swap that over to a radio control unit, so I can just go to wherever these cannons are. Yeah, I just have to limit how much it can tilt up. Probably not tilt down though. And then the rotation is just locked to like 180 degrees, 90 each way. I think that's a much better solution. I really like this kind of design as well, where it's like, it looks like this big blocky gun thing. This obviously limits the amount of places I can put them. But maybe that's a good thing, because I don't know how thrilled I was about having them under here anyway. Very much an afterthought. And I guess on the front, they're not that bad there, so maybe I can fit my own ones in here. I've just removed all that pipe. It's very likely that this room is going to be a pump room. Otherwise, this one might be a pump room, because I don't need any of this stuff anymore for the bow thruster. That's just running off that one electric motor. If I take this cannon, there's a kind of aggressiveness about it that I like. I think I'll flip it for symmetry, and then I'll flip the pivot on the bottom so that we get the correct orientation for steering it. They do look very cool. And then so this seat will have to change into a pilot seat so that I can get the controls. Could be a steering wheel, but I don't know. I think the pilot seat will be better. We'll put in a 1x2 here, because I want to try a 2x3. And we'll get 2 pumps, one for each of these, because if I want to point it at something and then leave it, or point the other pump at something else, I don't want to lose pressure to, you know, we don't want one pump stealing all the pressure from the other pump. I came out really close to where these need to go. The door needs to swing open still. I might just run these pipes up the side of the wall because why not? How many of these cannons do you think I need? If I've got 2 on the front, do I also need like 1 or 2 on the back? I'll add them later if I need to. Okay, so I've got the logic for just 2 cannons at the moment. And then I can just add more as I need it. So first we need a big old switch box. Well, first we need a counter actually. And this is probably going to come from data that's not on the seat, but this is going to be what's going through the cameras. So if we have a min value of 0 and a max value of 1, that's 2 states. So we can have the left camera or the right camera, or left cannon or the right cannon. When you press a button, it'll go up and it'll cycle through. But if we just connect one of them for now, A and D will be swivel, W and S will be pitch, and space, which I think is 32, channel 32, will be fire. And then on the seat, I just make these sticky. So left cannon fire, there is a pump at the top and a pump at the bottom somewhere. Which one is it? Probably this one. Left pitch. Which is that, and we need the video feed. I'm thinking about dropping the whole bridge thing down 1 block because when you get off the seat, you're sort of stuck in the roof. I connected it to occupied rather than to the trigger. So that's like 1 cannon, and then if I want to swap to the next cannon, I could use a switch box, but that will only let me swap between 2. And if I want to put more in the system, if I use if I set number 1 to be an up, so it'll count up, then when it counts, when the count equals 2, use a threshold and we reset. This is how a lot of sequential gearboxes work in Stormworks. So we've got numbers 0, 1, and 2 to pick from. So we've got 3 numbers. 0 is the left cannon, 1 is the right cannon, 2 is the reset. And then as I add more cannons, I just increase what the max number is. And you basically just add 1 more than however many cannons I wanted in the system. So if I want 3 cannons, my max will be 4, and 4 will reset me back to the first one. So that lets me cycle through. Then we need a whole bunch of switch boxes and thresholds. So we're going to check if we are at threshold 0, then this one will be on, and that will send the controls from the seat to this cannon. We'll need a video switch box, and we're checking the same value. If it's on, we're going to bring in the value from our video feed and send it to our display. So then we need a whole nother one of these. And another threshold. If the threshold is 1, we're going to swap over to that cannon. And then we need another switch box. The problem here with like sending this data through, we've only got one display, right? So we're going to have to chain all the displays up. So basically it's saying if it's along that signal, which is the left cannon, then turn on the left input. And if it's not the left cannon, turn it off and take whatever's coming in from this one. And then that threshold is saying if it's on the right cannon, send the right video feed, and then it just kind of carries on the chain and eventually makes its way out through the display. So we've got the camera feed, but we're not firing yet. I don't know if it's stuck on something. Oh, it's stuck on the rail. Okay. I'll have to move it a little bit. Man, where is that going? It's off the screen. And then, oh no, I need to get over to the other side. If I press 1. Wait a minute. No, what was that about? Because 1 is a toggle on the seat, not a pulse. So once it's on, it's constantly cycling through that counter. If it's a push, it should only do it once. When I press 1, it should count up 1. It may need a pulse. It's counting from 0 to 1. And then when it hits 2, it'll reset to 0. When I'm on 0, I should be looking through the left camera. When I'm on 1, I should be looking through the right camera. It is working, it's just nothing's coming through on the other camera, so maybe I just didn't connect it. That'd be something I'd do. So I should be able to zoom in, and then I can leave this here. So that's, I could set it up so it keeps firing, but the controls are getting cut off. And then this is all backwards. And then I can point this at something else. So yeah, the beauty of that system is I can keep adding more turrets. And if I wanted to put displays somewhere else, or if I wanted to like connect them with a radio controller, I could have it so I can come out here and connect to it. Maybe I should put a button on it or something for manual override. Little radio antenna as well. Oh no, the lighthouse is on fire. We better go put it out. The fire started downstairs, so I need to get in there somehow. No problem. It's a little off. I just have to open the door. Oh, jeez, okay. I mean, that's helpful, isn't it? Being able to just douse an area. If it were radio controlled, you could take the controller over there and then just stand kind of close and move it around with the controller. I think it was pretty successful with this little water cannon thing. I just need to move it a little bit so it's not going to bonk on the rail, and then rotate it so I can fire backwards, and a bit more logic so that I can position them, leave them on, and then switch out to a different turret, or just turn them all off and on completely with like a single button probably. Maybe leave a comment on what you think I should be working on next, because I get a bit distracted and don't fully know what I should be doing next. Otherwise, I'll see you later. Thanks for watching.